Oscar Chacon joins me now from Chicago, who specializes in global migration. Oscar, what are you hearing right now about conditions at some of these detention facilities, especially the one in Clint, Texas? Have things improved since we heard about the appalling conditions, massive overcrowding, no soaps, no toothbrushes, children under 10 caring for infants? What are you hearing right now?
Well, conditions have not improved. As a matter of fact, I believe this is part of the design that this administration has put forward, namely, make every step of the way as hard as punishing as it can be. Because the logic behind these policies is that if you make it horrible, hellish indeed, people will stop coming. And frankly, this is foolish because we have a long history of evidence that shows that when there is a humanitarian crisis that is indeed pushing people out from particular places around the world, in this case, Central American countries, no matter how much punishment you build into the policy response, it will not solve the problem. And it will lead to the episodes that we are already seeing, the tragic death of a father and a child. Sadly, if we continue in this pathway, we will only see more tragedies like this because, again, we are not dealing with the reality of facing the fact that these people deserve, indeed, protection, not punishment. And that is what we need to change.
Where are most of these migrants coming from, and what are they escaping exactly?
Well, the majority of them are from 3 countries in Central America: Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. And these are countries with a long history of economic oppression, exclusion, that makes basically life very difficult all the time. But on top of that, we have had a very rapidly growing situation of insecurity, primarily driven by gangs, driven by narco-trafficking, organized crime organizations that are basically making life impossible for a lot of these families. And that is what's triggering this pattern of people fleeing their countries and trying to get to a place they consider will be safe for themselves and their children. That is the reality that the policy response by the Trump administration is essentially ignoring.
But how do you explain the sharp increase of the numbers from previous months? U.S. Border Patrol says over 11,000 unaccompanied children and over 84,000 people traveling with relatives were stopped at the border in May, and they say that is a big jump from previous months.
Well, actually, this whole question of what is a large number is entirely relative. If you only look at the past 10, 12 months, you may argue that there is an increase in the numbers. However, if you go back to the year 2000 and more specifically to 2010 and then 2014, you will find that the numbers that we are seeing are in no way unprecedented. These are numbers that explain what I said before. This has been a slowly brewing crisis that has led so many people to flee their countries because they have simply run out of any hope that there is the possibility of a better life in their own countries. That is what's behind this crisis, nothing other than this.
And finally, let me get to that heartbreaking photo of a father and his young daughter facing down in the Rio Grande River, close to shore, really galvanizing the debate about immigration and the dangerous journey people go through to get to this country. Do you think the image that we've been seeing of them in the water, is that really going to change anything in terms of policy, in terms of debate?
Well, I surely hope that this image brings out the best in the American people. I think that most Americans are very well-intending people who care about suffering when they see it, and this picture surely captures it. However, let's remember that this picture does not fall out of the sky in a vacuum. This picture is falling in a context in which the very image of immigrants has been deeply demonized, deeply dehumanized by this administration and previous administrations in the US. And so I surely hope that this picture will, as I said, bring out the best instincts and the best characteristics of the American population, and they finally realize that these people deserve protection, not persecution.
All right, we'll leave it there. Oscar Chacon, thank you.